Okay, it is about 7:02 p.m. Today is Thursday, February the 10th, um, 2020. Welcome to term number two. Term number two. Some of you guys I just left a couple of days ago. Um, I think Madison, I know Madison was in class last T2, T1 rather. Lynn, I think you were in there too also. Uh, as well. So it's good to see both of you again. And I hope that you enjoyed your little break. It wasn't even really a break, right? You finished up your assignments that were due on Tuesday, and when the clock struck 12, you were starting term two. Well, you'll have a real break after this one. Uh, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not going to need to um, introduce you guys because you both been in my classes before. So normally what I do is have students to introduce themselves, but you both probably know each other from class before. Um, and so it's good to see you at the Madison Introduction to Corrections. You survived it, right? And you're back for some more. Okay. And Lynn, you were in which of my last classes? You weren't in were you in that class with Madison, Introduction to Corrections too? I don't think so, were you? No, which you were in the class before that, right? Which class were you in of mine? Was it Introduction to Corrections, not this last time, but before that? Didn't weren't you? Yeah, yeah, I know you were in that class. So yeah, so then that's why, because Lynn was in the class before you, Madison. But I remember my students, especially those of you guys who do uh, real well. So definitely, definitely. Okay, so let's get right into it. As you, let me click on this. As you will discover, and you already know this, first of all, that the name of the course is Drugs and Crime. You're going to hear me say this about 100 times or more this term, so get ready for it. I always say this too, that crime is increased because of drugs, and that what creates a large portion of our crime, we're going to deal with both of the issues, is number one, drugs. People commit crimes to support their drug habits. That's right up front. So when you're in this class, you're going to realize that the issue that we're facing with crime and it relates to drugs is more of a health issue, and that laws being passed just don't cut it. You'll learn that. I'm just giving you an introduction to what to expect in the next few weeks. And um, as far as this class is concerned, and I love teaching this class um, because of the fact that I understand as a criminal defense lawyer representing people for many years that, and as a police officer in a town called Ford Heights in Illinois, a south suburb. It was known as the crack cocaine capital of the south suburbs. And a lot of houses that were residential houses turned into crack houses. And so I dealt with the training as a police officer, and then I represented many individuals in drug court. And in the process of representing those individuals in drug court, it became quite clear that uh, one of the things that you learned about in the Introduction to Corrections class was the recidivism, and that you have some of the same, we call them suspects or individuals, who are constantly coming through the system. And one of the primary reasons, if you really get into it and cut to the chase, is drugs. And it creates crime. I had a client I represented, and I think I've talked about this before. I had a bunch of them, but this was one that was dear to me because I was close to their family. I almost married the young man's sister, but we didn't, but we're still friends. And so anyway, what I'm telling you is that this young man had a habit of committing burglaries. And he was so heavily involved in burglaries. And the reason why is because he was an addict also. And he would commit the crimes to support his habits. Well, which ultimately led to his death. I represented him in a case where, um, based on residential burglary, where I advised the family not to get him out on bail, which is contrary to my advice in probably 90% of my cases. But the reason why I said that is because I knew that if they didn't have a good eye on him, that if he got out, he was going to attempt a burglary somewhere. And so sure enough, they went against what I said. They got him out. And within a week or so, I know it was a short period of time, I find out that what happened is that he got out of the house, went across on the other side of town, crossing over the expressway or tollway, what was expressway, um, 290 in Chicago area, if you know about that. And he crossed over it, running, dodging cars and so forth. And he went to the other side and of town, and he, in the process of committing this burglary, the police um, were called, and they ended up chasing him, and he tried to backtrack and cross over the expressway again. He didn't make it this time. He was hit by at least two trucks, a couple of cars, and he was killed. But the reason why was, and they felt really bad that they didn't follow my advice. But I understood uh, where he was, and I understood that he would be better off in that situation while awaiting trial. And so it became quite clear that I represented many individuals who ultimately ended up in what we call drug court, which you'll hear me talking about during the course of this course, where individuals are um, given the opportunity to get treatment in exchange for receiving maybe probation or something along those lines. But the point of the matter is that it's quite clear that if you lock these people up and they come back out without addressing the drug problem, and then there's the mental health problem, but I'm sticking with the drug right now problem, then they're going to go back. And so it's just like taking a person into the hospital and the they have a flu or some kind of virus, um, whether it's COVID or whatever, and they're kept there for a few days, but they're not treated. You don't address the issue. and deal with the cause and effect of the actions of the individual, then they're going to go back and doing it. And so that's what happens with individuals who are hooked on drugs. They become prisoner to that, and whatever that drug tells them to do, they do it. They'll do anything. Trust me. And I'm very much involved with it also because my baby sister, who, if you listen to my story and you guys are familiar with adversity as a springboard to success, my story, my baby sister who was killed when my mother was, my baby sister who was the baby at the time my mother was killed, 63. She was about a year old. Not even, yeah, she's, yeah, just about a little over a year old. Um, she overdosed in 94 on cocaine, brain aneurysm. So one of the toughest jobs I had was, as you know, I'm a pastor. I wasn't a pastor there, but I was a minister, and I had to eulogize her by her service. That was one of the hardest things I had to do. But all I'm saying to you guys is that I'm well aware, and as I teach this course, you're going to see emphasis constantly on it. You're going to remember what you learned in corrections from me, getting from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and recognizing that you want to get to uh, 6 o'clock so that you can be helped. You guys remember the 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock? You remember that? Mm-hmm. And it sticks. One of my students actually came back and told me that they did a presentation as I don't know if they were a police officer or whatever, and they were talking about that 6 to 12, and I appreciate the fact that they said they learned that from their professor and named me as well. They just didn't send me a check for royalties. That's okay. But the fact of the matter is that it's quite clear that you got to go in a 180 and go in a different direction in life in order to make it. So it's kind of like, yeah, this course, some people come in with expectations that it's going to be a lot of law discussed. Yeah, there's going to be some law, but it's going to be, that's why it's not called drugs, crime, and law. Drugs and crime is exactly the perfect title for it. Crime and drugs wouldn't be accurate, but drugs and crime. And so you'll always remember this as we go through all the way to the end. And we're going to put some meat on the bones of this drugs and crime thing that I'm talking about now during the course of the next 5.5 weeks when we deal with issues of the epidemic that we face with opioids, and also dealing with how innocent painkillers and excessive use leads to opioid addiction. And you're going to see the effects that these drugs have on um, individuals and their families, and how they live their lives. So anyway, I'm just going to go through some of this stuff here because there are some people who are not here who are going to look at this. So let's look at, okay, so you have your messages, and these are the two messages I sent you. You should have the PowerPoints that I sent you, as well as you all got that welcome announcement. So that's how you can reach me with classroom messages. This is the grade book, and I go through here, and this is how I check your grades, and it tells me that there's one person already who took the quiz. Um, 4 people who did discussion posts. Nobody did the live classroom because I didn't give it yet. But at any rate, the point of the matter is that I always recommend this thing here. It's not like it was when you took Introduction to Corrections. You had 3 times that you could take the quiz. This one's only 1 time. And uh, so I encourage students to make sure that they're on top of the module and at least to listen to the lecture and done the readings before they take that quiz. Because as you know, it's a closed book um, quiz as well. And so we're gonna talk about that. So anyway, this is all the way down to week 6, different topics that we will be dealing with. Okay. The only week that you don't have a quiz is week 6, and then you're going to have what we call the final exam. We'll get there soon enough. Discussions, of course, we have a discussion post this week. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. But then, there's a lounge where you can introduce yourselves to each other. Nobody's done that in there. And then at the bottom, there is a course chat, which is where I post something about myself. And you can take a look at that. And both of you guys are familiar with this already. And it's basically the same information, different course. And just tells you stuff. So this is for the people that will look at this video. That's the young Professor Wright. I was at that time 28 years old, got my law degree in hand and ready to go. That's why I got the JD behind my name. And then this tells you a mnemonic about how to be successful. It also includes my email address without the 2. So you'll notice it's richard.wright@rasmussen.edu, or you can put the 2 in there. And then this is my personal email, which I invite students to use as well, richard@wrightgodisable.net. And here's my phone number, 630-660-8480. Lock it in, and we'll talk about how you can use that. This is my office number, but I'm hardly ever there because I'm off campus. So I work residentially, off campus, and that's where my residence is, so I work from home. So now let's take a look at the calendar. Again, you guys who are familiar with this, I have to still do it because there are some people who don't know it, and they're new. I see some names I don't recognize at all. So we started yesterday with class, and then today is your live lecture, open house. Both posts are due Saturday. And you know that that's not the norm. The norm is that your initial post is due Tuesday and your reply post is due Saturdays, except when you get to the week, the last day of class, which will be a Friday, which is March 18th. You'll see that in a minute. So you got your live lecture, your initial post, your reply posts, and then the 13th, your written assignment, your live classroom lecture, phrase or word, and then the quiz, which is due by 11:59 p.m. Central Standard after that. After that, you will notice that on Tuesdays, every Tuesday, we will have lectures, and that goes all the way through. Okay, so you'll have lecture the same day that your initial post is due. So remember, I see you tonight, and then I'll see you again Tuesday of next week. And then it goes all the way till February 18th. That's when the course ends. It is important, and I repeat this every week, that if you submit an assignment after the 18th, it will not be graded unless you went through the appropriate steps to request an incomplete from me in proper form and fashion, and that you have a justified reason for asking for it. If you don't, I'm sorry, I won't give it. I have had students to ask me if they can have an incomplete during week 6. When we get to this point before this, they'll do it like maybe a Monday or Tuesday of that week, and they owe assignments for weeks 1, 2, and 3, and want to know, can they have an um, incomplete? And I said, no, you cannot. I'm sorry, I can't do that, and I won't. So unless there was some extenuating circumstances that I'm aware of. But then usually when that happens, we usually tell students, talk to their advisor about the possibility of taking a leave, or dropping the course or something. But you guys should be well aware that your education is expensive, I'll tell you. And you find yourself um, wasting your money, and you don't want to do that. This is not the kind of thing that you do with education. You want a good old ROI, which is a business term for return on investment. So you can see the calendar each time. And then for people who aren't familiar with it, if you click on it, it will open up to the day. Then you can go down there and you can see, oh, I thought I put the link on here. I guess I didn't. I have to come back and do that. Well, actually, let me see. I hope I did it for the rest. I thought I did. Okay, let's see. Because if not, I'm going to go back and put it in there. No, I did not. So I'm going to do that for this course. Go back and put the link in there so that people will have it, even though it really is not the place where people find it, but I still want to put that in there. So I'll go back and do that after class today. So that's the calendar. Okay, let's get out of that and let's go back to the course content. So let's look at the announcements that we have in this class. As you can see, we have the APA assistance. That's one of the big ones. So that if you're not adept at APA, and I think both you guys are. I know for sure that Madison is, because Madison is also a student tutor. I know that for a fact because she just became one in the last class. So congratulations again. You can help many students. So now she can now actually help students. Oh, you're welcome. She can actually help students again that took the Introduction to Corrections course, but she can't help you in this course because she's in this course. So you can't ask her about the assignments or stuff like that. And then probably if you were assigned a student tutor, I don't know if it's set up like it, but that when a student requests a student tutor, they can't request the student tutor that's in their class. I think I'm right. Am I right, Madison? Yeah, I believe so too. But at any rate, she's able to help you with other courses and things like that. But anyway, if you go through the process, you'll see what I mean. So anyway, APA assistance is there for you. They train them, especially in APA. And then here is the place where you got toolbox, we call it. We're in the 7th edition APA, and you can get the basics dealing with all the issues. There's the chat that you can get with the librarian, but we're not going to do that. The librarian is Dennis Johnson. Um, you do know him, Madison? Do you know him? Yeah, and I know you know Melanie because she hired you. Okay. Yeah, those are my friends. Melody, especially out of Rockford. She's at the Rockford campus. Uh, yep. So anyway, and John Malatic, who is over the whole, the dean of that, the learning coordinators, he is uh, also Melody's boss, but he is also um, the person that does the academic integrity video that I'll be showing in just a few minutes. So, okay. So anyway, you can always find in my class a lot of stuff because I talk about APA a lot, don't I, guys? All term long. But there's a reason for it. And it, because I'm trying to get this into you so that you recognize it because it is very important, extremely important for integrity as well as advancement in the future. Um, the academic integrity video, which is okay, I'm going to come back to that in a minute. This is the adversities to springboard to success video, which you guys should be familiar with. This is a little blurb about me, and it's not an assignment, but I put it in here to motivate my students, where if you clicked on it, that you will see me. I don't know why it always starts out with me with my mouth open. My wife says, yeah, it's because I'm always eating something. I says, I wasn't eating it. We've been married 27 years, 28 years. She can say that stuff, but anyway, but I told her don't say it too much. But anyway, you click on it and then you hear me start talking, which I'll stop me in a minute. Okay, is which is not right now, but you can go back and look at that yourself. You can pass it on to people. Uh, I, I am happy to say that I've gotten some feedback from people who aren't students and told me how much they appreciate that video because it was actually posted on Facebook. Um, One of my students asked permission. I said, sure, it was already posted somewhere a long time ago when I recorded it. But anyway, I recorded that sometime right after I moved here, I believe it was, because I moved here in 2019 to this house. So anyway, but before that, I used to do it so that the session went like 3 hours when we first had open house. So I don't do that anymore. So check that out. And then let's go back now to the academic integrity video. That's Dean Malatic that I was talking about a few minutes ago. And he's a very nice guy, very nice. And so what I'm going to do at this time is I'm going to put this video on. I'm going to take my headset off so that you can hear it if I don't. So I'm going to put it here, and then, which you can't really hear that well, then I'm going to tell you that it's closed caption. So you have to do a little reading here in English. There we go. There it is. And then we'll be right. What is academic integrity? Is making decisions in your academic life based on honesty, trust, fairness, responsibility. This means being honest in the work you do while respecting. So what is cheating? Cheating means distributing by any means other than expressly by or an instructor. Some examples of cheating: asking fellow students for answers or copying answers, devices or materials during the test to enhance that approach, purchasing papers from websites or other sources, copying your classmates' and other violations as the academic integrity policy that can be found in all courses. Always ask your professor or to work together with classmates.
Now let's talk about plagiarism. Plagiarism means other individual's work without giving them credit or taking another person's work. Some examples of plagiarism are turning in an assignment that someone else wrote, copying words or ideas from someone else, skipping a library, without giving the original creator credits, failing to put quoted words in quotation marks, someone else's ideas in your essays, but changing a few words to make it sound like them. Plagiarism is not just about written words and ideas. It's possible to memorize images, graphs, as well. So how can you avoid plagiarism? Cite your sources, both in the body of your paper as in-text citations and on your references page. Whenever you want to use words, images, or ideas that were created by another person, you should cite that person appropriately as the source of that.
But how does academic integrity relate to the work world? College thing?
No. Integrity in the workplace starts with good practices and skills built while you are a student. Would you turn in a project document to your manager as your own? Not if you want to keep your job. Individuals can be reprimanded at your job. Following academic integrity guidelines, while you are in school, it's those skills and ethical practices that carry through to.
Okay, I understand how they're connected, but what do I know if I need more help?
If you have questions about academic integrity policy, consult your course syllabus, talk with your instructor, and if you need assistance in style, how to avoid plagiarism, contact the Rasmussen library team for live chat or schedule a research appointment on the like APA tutoring. Schedule an appointment with
Okay, and that's the academic integrity video, which is important. It's on your course homepage, but it also in my classes I always uh, post it and it tells you if you notice integrity. We're talking about ethics. We are in a world right now where I mean it's just like right now we're living in a world where uh, there are people who are holding high offices, real high offices, who are just outright just not telling the truth about things, who are doing things like destroying evidence and documents. I'm not putting any names on it, but you know what I'm talking about. The point of the matter is that you know we as as kids coming up, I always looked up to the office of presidency, but now I have questions and concerns about it because I see what has happened, and it's problematic. But what I'm saying, guys, is that we don't want to find ourselves operating in an unethical fashion because it damages your reputation, it damages your possibility of a future in employment, and it can also end up sending you to jail. And you don't want that. So the problem is that always operate ethical. You know that those of you who've had me before, you know that I operate with my students that I want you to become ethical, professional, and educated students. Those are the key things that we want to develop for the professions. And I do my part to contribute with teaching. That's why I love doing what I do, is because I'm impacting the minds of the future in criminal justice and other law classes that I teach as well. Because I teach business law, I've taught criminal justice ethics in criminal justice. I've taught that course when they had it. I hope they bring it back again. I've taught ethics in medicine. The point of the matter is ethics is so important to our world. If you have children, you want to teach your children to tell the truth. The truth is something that is a necessity in life. And that's why uh, one of the reasons why we have APA is to encourage you to operate in an ethical fashion. As Dean Maladek says, not taking somebody else's work and calling it your own. You want to give credit and cite the source of that information that you use. Okay. And we'll talk about what we call transferable skills in just a few minutes. So now let's take a look at something that I'm just going to just show it to you because you should have seen it. It's your welcome announcement. And you want to follow each of these things that are highlighted. Pay close attention to them. And then there's some other information about how to find information. This is reminding you of when the lectures take place, the one for today. And then reminding you what I said earlier, that the rest of the lectures from week 2 to 6 will be Tuesdays. And then we deal with issues of using videos. We use a lot of videos in this class. PowerPoints, I use them to the point that I give them to you for study. I don't use them for lecturing, you know that. And it doesn't make sense because it's really a summary of the book. And so I used to use them a long time ago, but it was a disservice to my students because you need to hear more practical things that are going on to go with what you've already read. You read the stuff and you have the PowerPoints. So you don't need me to go over the PowerPoints with you that you already have to help you. And then the link to the lecture as well. And then check the getting started folder. And then this is for technical support that you have, which is 24/7. It's called PSC, which stands for Personal Support Center. But all this is be available to you the whole time. So for this week, and each week you will see an announcement. Move this down here. Psychoactive drugs categories, effects on the body, classification of controlled substances. That's the topic. Chapters 1 and 2 of the book, along with the corresponding PowerPoints, have been sent to you. We'll deal with the Controlled Substance Act, narcotics, amphetamines, cocaine, marijuana, synthetic drugs, and then transferable skills. So I'm going to be able to talk to you about transferable skills, but you'll see it also in this module today. That's what I like about this particular course. It's in the module. It should be in every course. And then the discussion assignment, classifications of drugs and controlled substances. And again, I already told you when your assignments were due for discussion, which is Saturday for both initial and reply posts. And then your written assignment, of course, is due along with the quiz, impact of controlled substances, and then the key phrase by 11:59 p.m. This Sunday, as in all, except when you get to week 6. And then this again reminds you about the lecture. And then, you know, my motto, adversity is the springboard to success. You know what that's all about. I always encourage my students to start strong. And it's short. The period is so short that if you stay strong, you'll end up being rewarded. I don't give A's and B's to students. I don't give them. I just don't. You do it the way John Houseman said, who was a British actor, said in the Smith Barney commercial, you have to get it the old-fashioned way. You have to earn it. Earn it. And it's in my mnemonic too, learn and earn. And it's important for you to recognize that you hold the power and key to success. You're not in this class to get A's and B's. You're in this class to learn the material so that you can be a better professional, so you can be really good at what you're doing. And we scratch the surface, But as you get further into this stuff, when you get your practical experience, that's when you really learn it. But we open the doors for you in these courses. Some students think that we're going to be the beginning and the end. No, we're not. We're just putting you on the track, and then you work it from there. All right. So our announcements each week you will see as well. All right. Now let's go to this. This is really, they had talked about the resource tab. It's pretty much taking the place of that. And so now library resources. This is where you can find what you just saw in Dean Maladik's video, the online library. And you can meet with a librarian. You can get tutoring, learn about various resources. Anyway, you can hover over any of these to discover a peer educator. You can learn what that's about. Writing guide, new students, here's something to encourage new students to do well. Everything that you need. There we go with that APA again. And everything all the way down to transferable skills, which we're going to talk about in just a few minutes. So you have this to help you. And then if it's in white, you don't see it, because you wouldn't see this if you were in student view. This you couldn't see, this you wouldn't see, and this you wouldn't see. This, I don't think you even see this either, but here is the syllabus, and then here's tutoring also down here at the bottom. But here is the syllabus. That's what Dean was talking about again. Let's put that in the middle there. Tells the name of your course, tells your instructor's name, and this is the rule. This is the real rule for my office hours. You can text me, call me, or email me any hour of the day except the 25th hour of the day. I purposely put it in that order. And the reason why I purposely put it in that order is because if you have an issue, you want to communicate with me, you can do it. So I don't apologize. I have students, oh, it's late, I know, but Professor, I said, yeah, well, what's late is when you got an assignment that's due 11:59 on Sunday and you call me 11 o'clock and tell me you can't get it done because things happen during the course of the week. I mean, there are times when you have those situations where it's just last minute, but you know what I'm talking about. Let me know as soon as you have an issue. I want to know when there's smoke to help you put out that situation, not when it's a full blaze fire. Okay, you get my point. So you can text me. And sometimes when I see a text, I will respond by calling you right back after that. The text ends up right here with my friend who is always here with me. I'm an Android person, but most of you guys are Apple people. Or you can call me. And like I said again, if I'm not there, please, whatever you do, if you decide to call me, don't just call me. Leave me a voice message, because I'm not going to know who the world it was. I check all my voicemails all the time. My mailbox is never full in terms of that. And then the last resort is emailing me and so forth. But any hour except the 25th hour, and you figure that one out. This is the phone number, which I gave you earlier. That's my college email. You see it has a 2 there. This is a reminder, good people. I will say this today. I will remind you of it in my comments for your grades. It is not always in the rubric, but it's in the module. Listen to this. You are required to conduct research for how many papers? All papers. That means the sole source of your papers should not be your textbook. Don't just use the things in the module either. You will lose 2 points for failure to conduct research. Now, all, did you hear me say all Professor, I just want to know, is this assignment required to be written in APA format? It says all written assignments should be in APA format. I shouldn't make that must be in APA format. And then I give you a little short version of it, of one of the two main things that can cause your grades to drop. No citations in the body. No citations in the body. No citations in the body. And the reason why I say it is because I have to grade papers. And I feel real bad about grading papers and they don't have the basic stuff like that. Not because I failed to reach them, but they did something that wasn't right. And that was not follow the instructions. Somebody said, well, I had the information myself. So I said, no, I'm an authority on a lot of things, but I still research other sources to add into it. Okay. The point of the matter is that you can't do that. That's an academic integrity issue once again. Citations in the body, and not just a gratuitous citation. If you have 2 pages of paper and you have citations on one page and you don't have any on the other page, you're going to get hit with losing some points for that because of the fact that you got to have them. But citations you might see referred to in the rubric as credible sources, which is citations in the body and references at the end, which incidentally mean not at the end of that paper, that page, but on a separate page, as we talked about with APA earlier. APA means APA. Okay. Now, so that's one of the things I just want to make sure that we got. Okay, so if you look at what this course says, we deal with the law enforcement, and the classification of drugs and alcohol, impact on biology, psychology, and sociology. And we deal with the sociological aspects of it, the effects that it has on individuals and their families. Connection between drugs and mental health will be definitely 2 of the topics that we will discuss, and how crime and the criminal justice system operates with that. I've kind of touched on that a little bit earlier. And we're going to deal with those things. All right. This is your textbook. Okay. But you should have an ebook, or you can download an app and put your phone textbooks on your phone, on your tablets. I think you can even put them on your computers, but I know that you can do them on the tablets. Discussion posts, you already should know this, that they should be content oriented. Just a yes or no or I agree answer is not adequate. And then with discussion posts, you should be aware that after the discussion forum ends, you cannot submit a discussion post with the exception of one thing, and that is this. As you should know, all reply posts are generally due on Saturday. All initial posts are generally due on Tuesdays. And I already spoke about that earlier, but that this week, because we didn't start till Wednesday, so it couldn't be due Tuesday this week. So instead, we pushed it to Saturday. The point of the matter is that if you do a discussion post and you submit your reply post and your initial post on that Sunday, you're going to get a 0 because the forum is over. If you submit your discussion post late, you're going to get points taken off. But let's say by Saturday, all you've submitted is your initial post. Okay. If you submit a reply post on Sunday, you would get a 0. No, that's not what I do. I give you a chance. I give you what we call a mulligan. If you're familiar with golf, you know what that is. I give you a break. And so what happens is that I allow you to submit that post on that Sunday, but it will lose a point because it's submitted late. Do I require APA in that? No, not in discussion posts, because discussion posts are pretty much us talking, but I'm reading it instead, and you're reading, because we in the lectures we come together, but everybody has to deal with the discussion posts, including yours truly. I respond to. You'll see mine. If I don't respond to yours, I'll respond to. I try to respond to each some people different each week. I don't pick the same person all the time. Now, and they're due by what I said on the calendar. All right, exercise, courtesy, and etiquette. Your course consists of readings, discussion assignments, quizzes. Remember I said earlier, there'll be a quiz each week except when you get to week 6. And that's when the final exam, which is 20 questions, 5 quizzes throughout the course. Each quiz contains multiple choice questions. And it is timed. It is timed. These are timed. Okay, no notes. It's a closed book. Assignments due each week to demonstrate the mastery of the competencies, which means that you understand what you read, what you studied, and what you were taught during the lecture. And you understand the principles of what we are trying to get you to understand. And then this is additional reminder of what you saw here at the top there. All right. All right. So your course is broken down. If you notice very carefully, you have 605 points. Over half of your points are your written assignments. So if you add your written assignments and then your discussion posts, right there you have 76% of your grade. Okay? 75 points for quizzes. In your final exam, 40 points. Some people get deceived by looking at these and say, oh, especially, oh, I don't do too well there, I'm still going to be all right. Don't think of it like that. That's the wrong way to think. Then your live classroom lectures, you get 5 points for providing the correct phrase, for a total of 605 points. I'm gonna make this announcement now, and you already know what I'm gonna say that are in here. Never text me, call me, email me any hour of the day to ask me how to get a C in my class. I don't do that. My goal is not to produce C students and under. You can do that by yourself. So I operate on honor roll and dean's list students. And that is that somebody said, well, if I'm a C student, then do you help me? You didn't understand a word that I said then. What that means is that I'm trying to help you to get to a AB student. I don't have to teach you if you're already a C student, okay? And incidentally, if you're going to be that, when you get ready to go apply for jobs, a lot of times now they're getting away from asking for transcripts. But I can tell you this, that what you learn in class here is ever evolving. But here's the point. Your process for responding to different situations will be built on how much you learn this information that we have here. I will be honest with you. When I was in school, I learned the concepts and principles of application for the courses that I took. But sometimes I didn't really understand them until I did hands-on stuff. That's why one of the things that we did as senior students was we went to court and things like that. We went to um, um, sit in on hearings and things of that nature. We learn things by seeing how they really operate. And that's one of the things that we try to do in this course and other courses with videos and things of that nature. I would like to have more guest speakers, but I'd be embarrassed to have a guest speaker to come to my class. And I got 2 students and I got let's see, in this class, there are 21 students. So 19 students. Now, even if I got just 10 or something, that would be great. I've never had that before, even all the years I've been teaching, not since we went online. But there's various reasons why. The point of the matter is that we want you to be professional. One student said that in the survey that they did, they said, I have issues with Professor Wright because he grades us like we're professionals. My dean said, yeah, I said, what does the student want? He wants you to grade them like you're learning. I said, well, even professionals are learners. Okay. The point of the matter is that that's why I say AB, and you'll hear me already say on the rubric that I operate from excellence. I don't operate from those other columns. But that's not how I became successful. Okay. Case closed. Transferable skills, we're going to talk about that a little later since we have that coming up. Attendance policy, I'll skip over that because you can read that. I will spend the last part of this talking about the late assignment policy. Most of you should know this by now. You have up to 7 days to submit your assignments. Each day that you're late, you lose 10%. Okay, now listen to me very carefully. If you submit an assignment on Sunday and it's a good paper, you've satisfied the rubric, you've satisfied everything that the module calls for, and it's really a quality paper, and I will generally say a good paper or something like that, or either you just get the maximum number of points, which means you know you did everything right. That was good. Here's my point. You submit that very same paper on Monday, you will lose 10 points, and it'll be a 90 at the highest. Tuesday, a 80. Wednesday, a 70. Thursday, a 60. See what I mean? By here, you're over here. You're D minus. Okay, and then by Friday, it's a F. It's 50. It's below 60. So don't get comfortable with that 7 days. That's why I did that to show. Now, I already talked about discussion posts, so I'm not going to cover that anymore. But I am going to tell you what I can do. And I read it, the third paragraph in this, in line, should I say, fourth line actually. Instructors may waive, said may, waive the penalty or time frame in case of extenuating circumstances determined on a case-by-case basis, not by your dean, not by the president of the school, not by my boss, but by me. Because it has to be that I give you some responsibility. Let's say you're on you represent somebody as a lawyer, and you have to have a brief in by a certain time to stay an execution of that person. I'm just giving you an example. If you don't get that in on time, you can get it in later, but they're dead by then. So, and it's respect, and it shows unprofessionalism as well. You know, my dog ate my homework or so forth, so on. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. You have, everybody's got a nose, 2 eyes, 2 ears, or most people do. And then they got something that everybody I know has that's called excuses. But don't rely on that. Don't rely on that. Bethany just came up with some information. Bethany came up with the Learning Center coordinator on procrastination. And I always say this, if you're going to be a pro at anything, don't let it be procrastination. PRO means in favor of or for, or That means you are a professional, it's short for. But don't be a procrastinator. Don't be a pro at procrastination. Put it like that. You got it, my point. So I'm very liberal with this, but I gotta know. That's why I have the order email me last. Because if you have an extenuating circumstance, you don't want to email me. You shouldn't. You should text me or call me. Now, I've had situations where I've had students who had a sudden death or something like that in their family, and they don't want to talk. It's okay. I get that. And if it happens from that particular point, then I get it. I get it. Which, by the way, brings me to a point. Grades are due on Fridays. That's when I'm supposed to get the grades completed. I did that pretty good this last term, except one Friday. One time I didn't do that um, when it was due. That doesn't count the last week, week 5, but weeks 1 to 4. But the point I'm saying to you, and that I also have a deadline that the school has for you. If your assignment is not turned in by that Monday after, and we're starting the next module, I'll go through on Monday and do what we call a scrub. That means then what I'll do is I'll put zeros in the place where you haven't turned in your assignment. I'll go all the way down, including on Saturday. After Saturday, Sunday, I do the same thing with discussion posts. That with the discussion posts, that's it. With the written assignments, it's possible for you to still submit your assignment, but you could lose points unless extenuating circumstances exist. That's the point. So I have students, they say, oh, students said in the survey, Professor Wright always gives me a 0 on Mondays after, before I can get my late assignment in. And so nobody knows who that person was, but it was quite clear that they didn't get the rules of the school, and that the school looked at that and said, that's not a criticism. That's a requirement that the professor maintains in terms of it. Because they'll ask me, and the reason they do that is so that your advisors can see that you did. And it also can coincide with this policy up here. If you read it very carefully, you'll see what I mean. Okay. Incomplete grade policy, that's something I won't go over with you, but it's one way that you can extend your time if you know. Uh, anyway, you read this, and then if you have questions about it, talk to your academic advisor or your dean. This is academic integrity policy that you saw earlier. I'll let you read that yourself. So that's the syllabus. But please pay close attention again to this paragraph in here, this little thing in here about, especially about APA. Okay. All right. So I think I've covered everything I need to cover before I get to the module itself. Yeah, let's get to the module. Module 1. Here we go. So the assignment, here it is. We start out by talking about what the week 1 assignment is. The impact of controlled substances. Now, listen to me about this particular course. A lot of students mess up because they don't get this. But I say it every week, but I'm saying it from, as they call, Jump Street or the beginning. And it says it in here. In each of the weekly assignments, you will use the same scenario. You will explore a different aspect of Dave's involvement related to law, mental health, and corrections. Well, wait a minute, I don't know about Dave. That's what this scenario is here. So what do you have to do? Download it. And it opens up. And once you do that, let's move that out the way. Okay, it's completed. So now it's going to open and you'll see it. It's a Word document. So, okay, so this scenario should be go to file, download it, and save it on your desktop or whatever. This is the scenario for assignments. All right. And you're going to make sure that you recognize this. It's going to be used in all of your written assignments as the fact pattern, which means you don't have to repeat all of the facts, but be aware it's going to be used and you'll have it. Okay, it's very important because you can't do the assignment without doing that. All right, so instructions for this week, you'll need to address these bullet points. I can tell you how many times I've read through papers, and you're going to see that when we get to the rubric. How many times that students have done these assignments and didn't mention Dave at all? It's not good. You'll see why in a few minutes. Because number one, it tells you, but it's not good. So you're going to deal with these issues. Notice it says, there we go. It says at least one. Oh, I have students say, okay, I got one in there. Okay, you're going to get a grade. You will get, you will probably end up with competency, but you won't end up with excellence. You won't end up with proficiency with one. Use professional grammar spelling in a 2 to 3 page paper. So what happens if you go beyond 3 pages? I don't care. I don't hold you to that. There will be a time when you will reach that stage in your education, but not right here. So 2 to 3 pages. It means 2, not 1 3/4. Properly formatted, spelling, grammar, punctuation, proper paragraphing, and the whole 9 yards. But as soon as you see these words, APA, you know what we're talking about. It must be in a Word document. Okay. Now, here's the rubric, which you all are familiar with. I don't even teach from here. Matter of fact, in the rubric that I use for criminal law, because they didn't put one in yet. When they do, then I have to use what they put in. But in the meantime, I use the one that I created. And I don't have this or this or this. I just have mastery or advanced. And this is how I teach. This is how I want you to operate. Notice each one starts with exemplary when it comes to the content. Okay. Exemplary identification. So use this as your checklist. Say, did I do this about substances in exemplary fashion? Social impact, information literacy. Am I using, sources? There is one source you never use in my class and you shouldn't use throughout the college. What's that? I'm gonna let you all tell me. What is it? I know you know, but what is it? Yep, Wikipedia. Never, 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 never. Not hardly ever. Never, never, never. I've had students. I had one student that did a whole paper and they used Wikipedia. You know, they got a 0. Yes, they did. Can't do it. They said, but the information was correct. I said, I don't care. I do not care. Because we tell you why you're not to use it. It's a word-based document. All right. Biological effects. So you're going to deal with the sociological and the biological effects and the psychological effects. Okay. Notice what happens. See, Dave's got to be included. Credible sources. Now, before, remember it said at least one credible source, but it says credible sources here, doesn't it? It's an S on it, pretty much. That's why I said what I said, because here's the reason for another reason for citations, which are also known as credible sources. They provide support for your statements in your papers. Okay. All right. And that's what you want to do. As we lawyers learn, the judges will ask us to provide a source to stand to support our arguments or presentation. That's what it is. And then you go down and it says if your paper is less than 2 pages, you're going to lose some points in this column here. Did not meet, used, and did not meet the 2 to 3 page. You didn't make it. But notice what happened. No credible sources. You end up over here. Missing support from credible sources. Missing. Very important. Very important. That's why we said what we said earlier. So that's assignment number 1. Okay. Let's go to the discussion post. So we got the discussion, and you're going to deal with this and prepare your discussion post this week. You're going to research and review the drugs classified in Schedule 1 and 2. 1 and 2. See, they did this again to me. It's not here, but I'll show you where you're going to find it, though. One of these days, they're going to fix it. We already told them. So just operate on the basis of what they say here. That's how I'm glad they did say that. But anyway, for your initial post, choose a drug of the drugs listed below. So use one of these. Okay. Then it tells, or another drug listed in Schedule 1 and 2 other than heroin or marijuana. There's reasons why they left marijuana out. Because you know marijuana is being legalized all across the country, but I still call it a gateway. We'll talk about that in weeks to come. Okay, and then next, you'll identify the drug classified in Schedule 1 or 2. Okay, I'll show you something in a few minutes. And then there's a guide that you have that can help you in this course. Here it is right here. And it's designed for this particular course. And it tells you about each of the assignments and where to find different things. Something's supposed to be over here. I don't know why it's not coming through today. Okay. Course project, you don't have to worry about that anymore. We don't have that. Okay. Be sure to include citations. I am not dogmatic about that in discussion posts, but I do appreciate it as well as references. But I also say this to you. You don't have to do a second reply post, but I encourage a second reply post because it makes the discussion forum more interestingly, and you know the deadlines for that. And then the quiz, which I'm not going to click on, for 30 minutes that you have to do the quiz. Okay. If I clicked on it, it was showing the questions and it'll tell you which one is the correct answer. We don't do that. Your live classroom recording, we really don't have to do that either because it tells you where to find the recording after you've seen the lecture, because I'm going to change that and it's going to show the link as well. I will email it to you. So most people don't even know about this. So anyway, the Controlled Substance Act. Okay, now this talks about the Controlled Substance Act and what's involved in there. Now, they still didn't put it in there. They were supposed to put it in here, but they did not. I think before what I did was just have my students to go to the, I don't know if, I don't know, was it in the statute? They didn't put it in here. Man, they got a little work to do. I got to write them up again. Okay, I'll let them know about that. So, but I will show you how to find it in just a minute. Very easy. Here's an activity that they give you to use, but you'll see it in your readings too, incidentally. Okay, now open up. There we go. You do your knowledge check. Okay, read peyote. See, you don't know the answer to this until you actually go through. I think, if I'm right, I think it's right. This is my recollection. I think it is. Yeah, peyote. Peyote is a drug that's used in Native American ceremonies and others. But I'm going to help you in just a minute. Just bear with me. Narcotics, amphetamines, and we talk about what are narcotics, what are opioids and narcotics, what are amphetamines, and they actually give you this information. By the way, you'll want to look at this very carefully because of the fact that you're going to use this as probably some of your questions that you come up with in your quiz. So you want to look at this. Okay. In the normal course of the lecture, we would cover that, but I'm not going to do that today. Synthetic drugs. Guys, we are in a period now where opioids are really big, but synthetic drugs are trying to run a close second. They are very, very, very dangerous. They're made in labs. And the, uh, the point of the matter is these drugs are mixed with other things, chemicals, and things that will create health problems for you, cause you to go into cardiac arrest. I mean, made with drain cleaner, batteries. You'll see that coming up in future weeks. So you can take a look at this. Dealing with bath salts and spices, you'll hear me talking about that as well. I don't know why is she making noise. That's Alexa over there. Okay. Transferable skills. These are the transferable skills, the 6 that I was talking about. Now there's this little blurb here that's about 4 minutes long, and it talks about transferable skills. But these are the ones that we are teaching constantly in every one of our courses, and that employers are looking for you to be proficient in. Critical thinking, that involves problem solving, being able to analyze and critique items. Digital fluency, using tools like the internet and using Word, Excel spreadsheets, being able to do this, being able to go through your classes and find things, being able to use your textbooks. Everything's digital now in this time. Information literacy, recognizing when information is needed and possess the ability to locate, evaluate, and use effectively needed information. Stay away from sources like what we said, Wikipedia and things of that nature. Ethics and professional responsibility. Understanding and exhibiting principles of conduct and professional behavior which impact a greater good in the world and workplace. Understanding and applying ethical and professional principles. Operate in an ethical fashion and you will go places. Operating in an unethical fashion, you will go places too, but those are places you don't want to go. Put you in a state that you don't want to. So we focus on that. No employer I know wants an unethical employee, first of all. They want you also to perform professional. Here we go back to the grading. Yes, I want you have I think you owe a duty to yourself first, to be professional in your approach. When you are a student, you should gather the information that you learn in your classes to move closer to your goal. I did that about law. Every class, I related it to what I wanted to be. And I began to see how it was very useful when I became a lawyer. And then diversity and teamwork. You're going to work with people from various backgrounds, cultures, different religions, beliefs, sexual preferences, celebrating things different from others. You have to respect them and work. You're going to be working as teams with other individuals. And then you recognize communication. Now, notice something I'm getting ready to say to you. Written, that's what we've been talking about most of the lecture. Reading and oral communication. Being able to present yourself properly. Understanding the nonverbal language. Writing is key because you're going to be writing reports and things of that nature. I've shared before with my students and several of my classes that I won cases because the reports were sloppily written. I remember one case where they said that my client committed a crime on April the 31st. And April the 31st meant it was impossible. But that was what they said. That was what was in the report. That was what I had the officer to read in the courtroom. And they tried to say, well, this is not correct. I wanted to hear those words come out of their mouth because those were words to my ears. To hear the trier of fact, hear that whether it's the judge or the jury, but especially when it's the jury. Anyway, they said my client was guilty of committing this offense. And then when I got to the closing argument, I nailed it to the cross by talking about a poem that I learned. And when I got ready to mention the poem, the prosecutor objected. The judge says, never mind, overruled. I know where he's going. And I did. And I said, 30 days has September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31, except the month of February, which has 29 in leap year. But let's go back. When I got to 30 days says September, and they were talking about April 31st, I said, April. And I hung on that word. I looked at the jury. I looked at the judge. Then I turned to the prosecution, and they were going like, but anyway, as it turned out, my client was found not guilty. And they said one of the reasons was because of the fact that they said they demonstrated they weren't professional in their presentation and that we have to prove that person guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. How in the world are we going to prove somebody guilty beyond a reasonable doubt when you all provide us with the wrong date and a date that doesn't exist? That means something is wrong. Okay. They tried to say it was a little mistake, but you don't have room for that kind of stuff. So anyway, notice what it tells you. You have what we call global skills, communication, ethics, and professional responsibility, and diversity and teamwork. Because you're dealing with interpersonal, you're dealing with other individuals. Your personal skills that you develop for yourself are being fluent digitally, information, and your critical thinking. Those are intrapersonal skills. Okay. All right. So that's it for that. Now, as far as the schedules, I'm going to send you something in just a few minutes because I thought I had it here, but I don't. That you'll be able to find that information. I'll send you an email right afterwards. But it's really easy to find. But I'll get it up for you and send it to you guys with an email in just a few minutes. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Any questions? None? Okay. Any suggestions? Where'd you get that from? Magic? That is it, though. That's it. Yep, that's it. Because of the fact that I wanted to start you off lightly, but you will discover, and those of you, both of you know, that my lectures from the start to finish usually give a clue about the key phrase. And if you remember that, you can get your points. So submit that, drugs and crime, and then you will get your points. You too can submit them tonight, and you'll get your first grades on this. But anything else? Okay, all right. Well, thank you. And I'll look forward to seeing you all next Tuesday. Thank you. You next Tuesday at 7 o'clock p.m. And we'll be sometimes the lectures on a few of these because the videos are a little lengthy. Especially one, and I think we went to week 5. It is long, but I try to spend a lot of time and less time talking, but letting you see this video. It's very, very, very important. But okay, so I will see you next week. Look for my email coming up very shortly. I got to go back and fix that calendar thing. So I'll see you next Tuesday. Enjoy your weekend. Um, who you got in the Super Bowl? Anybody got anybody in the Super Bowl? Nope. Madison? Nope. Well, everybody is talking about. They think that the. I was laughing. Everybody's talking about Kansas City. I said no, that Kansas City is out. That was my team, but they think that the Bengals are going to win it. But I'm going with the Rams for 2 reasons. One, they're in their home stadium, and you know they have the home court advantage there. It's not supposed to be like that for the Super Bowl, but it happened last year. He thinks that he thinks that Cincinnati is going to win, huh? Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see by the next time we come together. So, all right, you guys, stay warm, stay safe. Um, we had a lot of snow here. They tell me we're getting some more, but I don't think we'll get any more like we had the other day. So, uh, yep, yeah, because you guys are in Madison. You're in. Are you in Wisconsin or you're in Minnesota? Oh, you're in North Dakota, right? Aren't you in North Dakota? Yeah, yeah, I remember that because I remember you're my friend. I think on Facebook too. I think, aren't you? Yeah, yeah. And I invite my students to become my friend on Facebook. Yeah, I think you were talking about how cold it was up there. You don't have to tell me it's cold up there. I already know where it is. It's near the polar. I mean, it's near Alaska and the North Pole and stuff like that. So it's cold up there. So yeah, so you know, I don't like cold weather, but I'm not going anywhere from Chicago. So, all right, guys, have a good one. See you next week. Good night.